Alright, in this video I'll show you the, the softwares I use day-to-day basis, or basically I have in my system. I believe in minimalism, so I try to keep things as simple as possible and importantly as minimal as possible. Having said that, so my requirements for day-to-day operation on computer require very minuscule of software, and I specifically chose them according to my need and understanding and my familiarity with them. So I'll show you what are the software I do use uh, day-to-day basis. Okay, so without further ado, let me open up a file. um, this is a file which enlist the software I have in my system. uh, VIFM is a file manager based out of Vim. uh, Once upon a time I was searching for some file manager, and this has come to my notice, so I bring it down, used it, and of late I very infrequently use it because I do not need or require it anymore, uh, because I don't find the functionality it provides which will enhance my productivity. So it is still there in my system, but I hardly use it. Okay, although it's a very good one. Okay, then VIMB is a browser which is basically my primary browser at this moment, entirely based on Vim. Vim related stuff is configuration, key binding, everything you do in Vim you can do it with this. It is underlying, it is running WebKit engine. This is a fantastic browser and very useful. That's why it's my primary right now, and I have been using it for quite some few years now. Git is a quintessential uh, software which the work I do, it's absolutely mandatory, for revision control system. So it's a kind of lingua franca in that space. Surf is a wonderful browser, small, standalone, lovely browser from Suckless. I used to use that. It is still in my system, but again, like VIFN, I rarely use it. MPV is the underlying audio video mechanism in my system where I sit. It's a top class player, top class multimedia player. Uh, to say to say the least about it, it's wonderful. CMU is the music player, C music player basically. Absolutely mind-boggling. I'm saying all this not just because I'm using it. You will try yourself and come back to me and say to me, fantastic, minimal, beautiful, very configurable, and very suitable to my needs. That is the most important part. Very lightweight, doesn't have dependency or tons of dependency to get it. Zathura is a wonderful PDF viewer, and that is the only whole and soul PDF viewer I have in my system. Some time to time I need to get into see some PDF, and this is the thing which will provide. Plus, I have a mechanism in my browser. If I download something from the net as a PDF, it will get open automatically in Zathura. Anyway, so that's a different capability, but Zathura is the only PDF viewer I have, and it's a wonderful piece of software. I3 blocks, I3 lock, and dmenu. These are the core uh, stuff I have. If I get into any fresh Linux installed system and uh, there is nothing in it, these four are the first thing I generally install. These are the backbone of the stuff I'm running in my machine. I3 is a window manager, tiling window manager. I3 block is the status bar. You often see it on my other video. If you check it out, on the top of the screen there is that is I3 block. Nothing but few shell script written with some sugar syntactic colored syntactic. That's all. I3 lock to log the machine, and dmenu is a menu prompt, very lightweight, okay, and very easy to configure. So dmenu come from a Suckless people, suckless.org, and these are having their own site. I3 window manager is wonderful. I've been using I3 for last 6 years. That is the whole and sole and only window manager in my system. Nothing else, no underlying D, nothing. I'm running bare bone I3 window manager with I3 block, I3 lock, and dmenu. NeoFetch, once I get it, I'll remove it because it's a fancy stuff and it doesn't bring much of a help to me. But it is still there, I need to clean it up. etc Keeper is a very useful software which is Git, underlying using Git. It's basically to keep a version control of your etc folder, and it has got a superb integration of the whatever the OS you are sitting on, Linux distribution. It has got a facility to bind it with the underlying package manager, so it's super helpful to maintain your configuration file in etc folder. I do use it. I have 4 Linux distribution in physical partition plus 1 free BSD. 5 physical partition I have, which running 4 different Linux distribution and 1 free BSD. All of them integrated with etc Keeper. LSWF, everybody knows it. It's a very wonderful tool to find out what is happening, what it is doing, where the files are coming, right? All this stuff. HTOP, everybody knows about it. It's just a monitoring stuff. Mart is the only email client I have in my system. I have been using it for years after years after years. It's been there for so long. It's wonderful. It's versatile. It's terrific. And most of the mail I deal with all textual to but it it can be customized to see the HTML stuff with the help of other apps, which I did. Say for instance, if I download something if one PDF came in my mail, Mart is the email reader, email client, and I have a macro mechanism placed in Mart. Once I access that particular attachment, PDF attachment, it will going to open it in Zathura. Or if it is an HTML attachment or website, it will going to open in VIMB. So the mechanism in place which I have, but Mart flexibility is wonderful. If you all the dot files of whatever I have, martrc, VIMB, git config, VMIRC, everything there in my GitHub repo. If you want, you can have a look at it. Postfix is the MTA, which is the only one wonderful one. Newsport is a RSS feeder, which when I'm not sitting inside Emacs, it is a terminal based RSS feed reader, and it is superb. Screen I used to use, I do not use Screen anymore because I don't feel the necessity of it, because i3 Window Manager gave me enough facility to run whatever. Still, I keep it in the system. If I get into the server and want to run something and then log out and then come out for different perspective, I might use Screen. It's still there, but I do not use it as frequently as I used to be. Linux and W3M, these are both textual browser, and it's been there for ages, and a lot of people use it. These are a wonderful textual browser where the page, most of the pages I visit on the internet has got more text than anything else. So these are super useful. GPG2 is I have a digital key like everyone else. It has to, and it is there because I sign my git commit. I use it for mail encryption and signing, and I want to encrypt some other important document which I want to post it on the public repo, but don't want to disclose the stuff. So GPG2 is important to give you some sort of cloaking related security to some extent. LVM2 is to come separately. If I recollect correctly, I haven't recently installed any OS. Whatever the OS I have in my system, it's been in last 6 years. 7 years I haven't changed any OS or anything, I believe. So I probably few of the OS which didn't have the LVM2 packaging, so I had to get it separately. If it is the case, still I have to get it. So cron is a cron manager. Cron manager. iSync is a software which will sync my remote mail into my local machine. Calcurs is a wonderful calendaring and event system, mail notification system. I clicked out to pop up which came from Calcurs daemon, which is running in behind the scene. Cayman is, you can see, is a kernel htop. I found it on GitHub. It is written in Go. It's got a nice utility to show kernel related information. Not mandatory, but I keep it, and time to time I hop on it. Pass is a password store, is an open source password encrypted password manager which is integrated everywhere in my system. I do use it. Curl is a lingua franca. Everyone uses Curl, and most of the stuff running Curl underneath. scrot is a screenshot taker. I have a script which will allow to use this software to select particular portion of the screen or full screen screenshot. This is the program I use, scrot. wget, again like Curl, which is a absolute mandatory stuff, should be in the system. rsync required for different reason, to sync something to the server from the workstation and get something to the rsync is a wonderful tool. ImageMagick basically there to work as the underlying mechanism for something else. So one of the prime thing ImageMagick is required for in Emacs. If you want to see PDF, ImageMagick is one of the dependency, because those PDF will convert it into the PNG image, then only it will show as a PDF inside Emacs. Plus it has given you a lot of other binaries to work for different other things. If you look through it, you can find it out a lot of stuff about it. PS util, more utils, find utils. As the name suggests, PS util is process related utilities. More utils has got so many miscellaneous utilities. Find utils already to find. These are the basic package which is available everywhere. You should have it in your system. This these packages provide so many good utilities that you could use it for your benefit. Compiler is absolute must. It come bundled, the OS come bundled with something. If something is not there, you are supposed to have it, because the kind of work I do, I need those. Emacs is only big and prominent UI on my system. Apart from, yes, not apart from, this is the only prominent GUI environment I run through Emacs. That's all. It's a departmental store. The way it's heading, someday we get everything under one roof. It already houses so many, but sometimes I feel whether it's a right thing to have or not, I don't know. But it is the way it is, and it is heading towards to integrate more stuff. That I use the Emacs GUI environment more than running it on the terminal for various different reasons. Task Warrior is a scheduler, to-do list, and all this stuff. Command line based. I was impressed. I get it. I used it. I not used it as frequently as I used to, so it is still there, and my prompt shows that one of the task barrier facility. Next is a new browser written in Lisp, and I'm experimenting with it. It's fantastic. It's wonderful, and I use two other thing, something called Not Much, which is a mail indexer and searcher. Wonderful, magnificent. It has got a binding with Mutt, Vim, Emacs. It has got a front end for Emacs, Vim, okay, and it has binded with Mutt and all this stuff. It's a wonderful, fast, using Zapier library behind the scene. Stunningly fast. And I use MU, which is similar to Not Much, mail indexer and searcher. These are probably the absolute must software I have in my system. I don't think any other stuff I have in my system. Time to time I get something else for experiment and do this thing. Once I'm done with those experimental software, I'll throw it away from the system, because I want to keep my system lean and slim and keep things which is absolutely required to me. That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. So this is what this is the I have a script which is also uploaded in the GitHub. Uh, if I get into any fresh Linux install, where the first thing I run that script, which will track the OS I'm in and try to get this software with the help of the package manager. If, because the software package are named differently for various distribution, if it fails to get this software with this specific name, then it will spit out error, so I have to go ahead and get it by hand. Otherwise, if it is available, that script will download all this stuff to my system. This other package, this 43 package, I generally, this is the base of my, this is the only thing I have in my system. Absolutely. Now you can say there is a little bit of dependency for here and there for some other stuff like WebKit, GTK, and something like that, WebKit and all this thing. But this much, these are the basic stuff I have, and it drives my environment wholly and solely, nothing else. This is all I have, and it's good enough for me to serve my purpose. I don't do rocket science, but this is enough for me to get things going for me, and I customize it and do it according to my need. I don't want my system to get bloated with a lot of unnecessary stuff and all this stuff. I keep things very minimal, so the system will be lightweight and perform efficiently. So I thought this will generate some interest to people. I wrote a blog also related to that 2-3 months back. I'll give you the description in the description section once I post this video in YouTube. Okay, you might go through that blog also. That is explaining the same thing with what I'm showing you here. Okay, so hope this will help some people to decide what they should use. Thanks for watching.